Hello everyone, it's Brian Wainwright, and I'm just coming back to discuss my second paper for the MBA 639 class with Dr. Mahar. For the second paper topic, I decided to kind of go into some interesting fallacies and also cover the theory of loss aversion, which I kind of read a bit about in various books throughout the semester for the different book reports that we had. So starting off, the gambler's fallacy is one in which there's a mistaken ideology that some events happen more frequently than they typically would if we were to subject them to a number of trials. So what happens is that people assume that things will happen then less frequently compared to the prior samples. So if I'm flipping a coin 100 times or playing a game of roulette 100 times, and I'm putting my bet on black every time, and I lose 15 times in a row, at some point in the next 85 trials, I would expect the wheel to kind of balance itself out and end around 50-50 or 50 of each outcome. So in some instances, people forget about the randomness factor that goes into something such as playing a game of roulette or flipping a fair coin. So in that situation where the coin is completely fair, the outcome would be 100% random. And so what that means is that there's no actual independent factors or biases specified on this outcome that would be hindering, a fair shot at a head or a tail result. While it seems a logical approach, there's been statistical studies that have gone through great lengths to disprove the gambler's fallacy theory that a 50-50 coin will end around 50%. So the major thing that I recall about the gambler's fallacy throughout my time at Bonaventure was when a group was presenting on it in my investments class with Dr. Colleen Assad. And while walking by, Giles saw the theory on the board and came into the classroom and talked about how if you were to subject an experiment like this to a runs test, you would be able to find if there was true randomness in the sample or not. So furthermore, statisticians have attempted to combat this fallacy and disprove it while using statistics and probability to compile data showing that it's really not a 50-50 shot due to the randomness. And actually, if you expect the coin to be heads 2 times in a row, the odds of that is 1/2 times 1/2, which comes out to be 1/4. So as the number of trials increases, the odds of getting heads begins to decrease in sequence. As long as the coin is fair, the theory will be always proven correct, and the fallacy will remain a fallacy. Further exhausting this point, through further testing of a 1/2 probability fair coin of heads or tails, it was found that there's no true measure of a fair coin with 50-50 odds due to the random nature. The fallacy also has a spin-off effect of those who buy into it, and it's called the reverse fallacy. After observing a situation where one lands heads so much, one will start to speculate eventually that it has to land tails. They'll start to bet on this opportunity, assuming that eventually fate has to go the opposite way. However, due to the randomness, there is no logic behind this argument. The second fallacy that I kind of focused on was the theory of loss aversion. Loss aversion is the topic that kind of discusses. So the economic concept of loss aversion deals with the belief that people have a natural tendency to prefer avoiding losses rather than going through an experience where they can seek out a gain. Studies show that this is an emotional and psychology outcome, which actually indicated that individuals were twice as emotionally impacted by a loss than if they were to experience the same amount of gain. So the theory of loss aversion really stems off of Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky's research and discussed throughout Scarcity and the book Thinking Fast and Slow, the two that I read for the book reports this semester. One of the biggest consequences of loss aversion can come in the form of risk aversion. So as people weigh out their gains and losses due to the immense power of the loss psychology, individuals are more likely to avoid situations where loss likelihood outweigh the gains. Many people who are loss averse show greater absolute emotional effect and are more likely to be affected through those losses than if they could have an opportunity for a gain. And other examples have been made of loss aversion going forward. And we read an article about the experiment on monkeys, which kind of showed that monkeys, after being taught to use bananas as currency, would also act in the same way as humans. So this is kind of a conclusion of the paper and the two topics that I chose to research. Thank you.